Hiya, it's me! So last week I watched Kevin, Distant Coder's YCS Vegas winning deck profile. I've known Kevin for a long time, since 2019. It was nice to see a friend of mine perform well, achieve what is essentially every Yu-Gi-Oh player's dream, especially with your favorite deck of all things. Congrats to Kevin. I love that someone can do well with their favorite deck. It's something that I've always loved about Yu-Gi-Oh, that abundant level of enthusiasm and passion for an archetype can be rewarded. Take me back to Extreme Force format. I'll just ignore the FTKs. I swear it's not an issue. It wasn't an issue. It's fine. Just give me back Electromite, innit? It was honestly really great to watch, to see Kevin's level of enthusiasm for the archetype. And then this bit popped up.
And I already know what the comments are saying. Coder, this is a meta strategy. Why are you putting a meta engine in your rogue deck? The reason why the K9 cards are here, and I know a lot of people are upset, right? I know a lot of people dislike when a rogue deck integrates a meta engine to buff it up and stuff. Make no mistake, the strongest cards in the deck are the Archmage cards.
I was genuinely just baffled. It was fucking irritating, to be frank. If you win a YCS, you needn't explain yourself, even if you didn't play a rogue deck to do it. Now, whilst the reception to this performance and the deck profile itself were largely positive, I couldn't help but notice the underlying fear that came from a potential backlash to the inclusion of particular cards in the deck. This unnecessary, irrational stigma that comes from some unrealistic metric of used good cards in proclaimed rogue deck, which ultimately is ridiculous. So let's assume that we actually have to humor the conversation. It's pretty self-explanatory, really. No engine in Yu-Gi-Oh has ever been so broken that it could carry another archetype to any level of success, let alone a fucking YCS win, despite that other archetype's glaring failings and flaws. Coda both demonstrates some strong interactions that come from the use of the archetype, even goes into great depth to discuss the merits of the Archmage deck, whilst also acknowledging a significant edge came from the fact that other people didn't know how to interact with those cards.
It was really crazy just how much this deck gets buffed by your opponent not knowing the game plan, not knowing how to play against it. It really is the rogue deck buff, where your opponent just doesn't know how to play correctly into the things that your deck is doing.
The very same conversation came up years ago when one of my good friends, Raphael Nevin, won YCS Chicago playing Lunalight. People tried to discredit the merits of the Lunalight engine, strictly stating that it was a danger win, or it was misleading to say that it was a Lunalight deck because it had danger cards in it, almost suggesting that the dangers purely carried the Lunalight deck to success, which again is absolutely ridiculous. Another close friend of the group, Jordan Gallagher, took to the comment section to essentially try and educate those people by showing them the black and white numbers that show that the Lunalight engine outweighed that of the danger engine. I've said in previous videos, one of the greatest pulls to Yu-Gi-Oh is the deck building element, and it takes a considerable amount of skill to recognize potential synergies that exist within the game and expand upon them to the point that you could perform at such a high level. Just because a portion of a new innovative rogue strategy is typically used in a more conventional metagame strategy doesn't necessarily invalidate, actually not even necessarily, it just fucking doesn't invalidate the pure skill and creativity that comes from acknowledging those possible synergies. Even just the term meta nowadays seems to come with some underlying stigma, especially when you speak to the more casually driven communities. When talking to a lot of people who don't play the game at a competitive level, a A lot of the conversations are typically about how competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Feels unplayable, and yet when you sit in the competitive side of that spectrum, those same people are just focusing on themselves rather than talking about how unbearable the casual elements of the game are. They just focus on the game for the love of the game. Now, I'm not trying to create an us versus them type dynamic. I'm purely against that kind of thing. We all love the game in a variety of ways, and it's really such a shame that in this community, and possibly others, there just seems to be this recurring theme of people needing to prescribe their values or metrics of success when everyone really should just be focusing on trying to stay in their own lane. Now, before I spiral into a larger topic that I probably could talk about in a future video and probably will, I just wanted to kind of leave this here. Moments like this are to be celebrated, and in this case it has been, but almost creating a mountain out of a molehill is the kind of discourse that does create those segregated us versus them type dynamics in these communities. I just think that when someone has to explain themselves at the risk of backlash about something as trivial as this, it speaks to a problem that needn't be there.